Welcome to the 2022 Primary Election Candidates Forum, co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Amarillo and Panhandle PBS. I'm Sonia Letson, president of the Amarillo League. This forum is being produced by Panhandle PBS, and through their technical expertise, we're able to bring you candidates in 10 different contested races. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization which operates at the national, state, and local levels. There are close to 700 local leagues across the country. The Amarillo League is 72 years old this year. The League does not endorse or oppose candidates or parties. Instead, we encourage active participation in government at all levels, and we seek to register, educate, and motivate every citizen to vote. We believe that voting should not be difficult. Voting should be easy and convenient. We know that voters prefer to cast an informed ballot, and so we provide forums like this one and also our voter's guide. The guide is now available at public libraries, community centers, retirement communities, grocery stores, and many other businesses in Amarillo and Canyon. You can also use the League's online voter's guide, vote411.org, to create and print your own personalized ballot. Vote 411 has the candidate information found in the printed guide, but you can also use it to link to candidate emails and websites. Remember, you cannot use your cell phone in the polling place, but you can take a voter's guide or other paper list with you so that you can remember your choices. The upcoming election is a primary election and features statewide races such as governor, national races such as U.S. Congress, and local races such as district and county judges and commissioners. Texas has open primaries, which means that all Texas voters can participate. The Republican and Democratic parties choose their candidates in the primary election. Since many districts in Texas heavily favor one party over the other, the primaries often determine the winner of the general election. Even if you do not strongly identify with a political party, you can and should carefully consider the candidate choices and participate in one of the primaries. Once you have voted in one party's primary, you cannot vote in the other party's primary, and you can only vote in any runoff elections for the party in whose primary you originally voted. Voting in one party's primary or runoff election does not commit you to vote for a particular party or candidate in the general election. You can still vote for any candidate of your choice, regardless of party, in the general election. Early voting begins Monday, February 14th, and continues until Friday, February 25th, including Saturday and Sunday. But polls will be closed Monday, February 21st, which is President's Day. Election Day is Tuesday, March 1st. We encourage you to vote early if you can. You will find a list of polling places and times in the voter's guide, or you can link to them on Vote 411 or by going to your county election administrator's website. For answers to questions about voting by mail, hand delivering a mail ballot, curbside voting, what ID to take to the polls, and many other topics, see the voter's guide or call your elections administrator. And don't forget, when you go to vote, thank the election workers. They make it possible for us to exercise our right to participate. Our forum has been organized by the League's Director of Forums, Linda Vaughn, and will be moderated by Jill Gibson, Chair of Mass Communication at Amarillo College. Thank you all for joining us and for educating yourself about this election. I will now turn the program over to Jill Gibson.
Hello and welcome to this virtual candidates forum co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Amarillo and Panhandle PBS. I'm Jill Gibson from Panhandle PBS and Amarillo College, and I will be your moderator for the forum. This forum will last 90 minutes. There are 10 contested local primary races that we will cover, and we have 27 of 28 candidates participating. The races will be presented in the order they appear on the ballot, starting with the race for Texas Senate District 31. Because we have so many candidates, the time we can spend with each one will necessarily be less than we would like. Each candidate will be asked 3 questions, including one about background and qualifications. Candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question and will take turns in being the first to answer the questions. In some cases, some candidates appear after the main round of questions. If a candidate declined our invitation to appear, I will advise you of any reason that was given. It's also possible that a candidate may have an unexpected emergency or technical difficulties. We will also proceed to hear from state and local candidates in contested races, even if no opponent appears. After the form of contested local races, we will present a series of 2-minute videos from statewide candidates in contested races on your ballots. These candidates were invited to present a simple 2-minute video outlining their plans. Those are the general rules, so let's begin. We begin with the Republican primary race for Texas Senate District 31. The candidates for this race are Stormy Bradley, Jesse Quackenbush, Tim Reed, and Kevin Sparks. Jesse Quackenbush is unable to attend because he is in trial. We will take turns with who answers the questions, and we will begin with Stormy Bradley. The first question is, what training, experience, and background qualify you for this position?
I am a mother of 2 young boys. I have been a nurse for 11 years. I'm a wife. I own 2 steel businesses. I am a community servant. I serve on my hospital board, the chamber board, and my local school board. I grew up in a small rural West Texas town, and I graduated from Wink High School. I live in Coahoma, which is also a rural town in Howard County, and I operate a cattle ranch just south of there. What qualifies me is I am an everyday hardworking Texan, and I'm seeking to serve everyday hardworking Texans such as yourself and the people in this district.
Next, we will move to Tim Reed with that question. What training, experience, and background qualifies you for this position?
I had a 32-year career in law enforcement, 28 of those with the FBI. And those assignments were both locally here in Amarillo and overseas during the war effort concerning terrorism and security of our troops and information that we were gathering at the time. As far as the qualifications, one, the main qualification, I'm a citizen of Texas. That I think is the most important thing. The other is education is going to be one of our big issues. And I started as far as a career looking at service with my local schools. That led me to 8 years on the Kenyon School Board. Presently, I am an athletic director and director of campus safety and a teacher at Ascension Academy. I believe that, okay.
And we will last move on to Mr. Sparks, Kevin Sparks. What training, experience, and background qualify you for this position?
I'm a husband of more than 30 years to a cute little girl named Jill. We have 4 kids that are now grown. Our youngest is a sophomore in college. I've spent most of my life in Midland, Texas. I've worked in the oil and gas business for more than 35 years. And so as a businessman, I've spent that time creating jobs. And Jill and I have been involved in our community through our church, through numerous boards that I've served on, nonprofits for children and other ministries.
We will start the next question with Tim Reed. Healthcare continues to be a top concern of Texans. What, if anything, can the state of Texas do over the long term to ensure access to quality health care for all?
A healthy citizenry makes for a healthy state, and it is a very important issue as we look at healthcare and what we are able to do with it. About 37% of our state budget goes to Medicaid and Medicare. And then we also have our systems with in retirement with the benefits that they get with their health care. As a state, we have to look at those issues and we have to determine what's going to be best for us as a state in making sure that we are healthy and what programs we can promote so that the general welfare of the people is addressed.
Okay, Mr. Sparks, Kevin Sparks, healthcare continues to be a top concern of Texans. What, if anything, can the state of Texas do over the long term to ensure access to quality healthcare?
Yeah, as already been stated, healthcare is our second largest budget item as a state. And so it's critical that we continue to find innovative ways for us to bring healthcare or the cost of healthcare down while maintaining, the high quality. I think one of the things that we've got to do, we've got to be able to trade insurance across lines. Another thing that I think is going to be critical for healthcare is finding ways that we can lessen our dependence on the federal government. A lot of the things that we've seen across the pandemic, issues have been created because we have too much dependency on the federal government for those funds.
And finally, Stormy Bradley, what, if anything, can the state of Texas do over the long term to ensure access to quality health care for everyone?
First and foremost, I believe that we have the individual responsibility to look out for the health of ourselves and our family. As a nurse, though, I worked in a critical access hospital, and providing resources to those hospitals, because in rural Texas, which this district is a rural community, it is crucial for the nurses to have all the certifications needed to be able to save your life in a critical situation before you can get transferred to a larger hospital. I think another way we can ensure this is helping community colleges and helping universities with their nursing and doctoral programs.
And the final question, we will begin with Kevin Sparks. When District 31 was redrawn by the Texas legislature last year, several Panhandle counties were removed from the district, while about a dozen were added from the Permian Basin area. How would you assure Panhandle residents you will represent their interests if elected? And do you see any potential for Panhandle interests to sometimes conflict with those of the Permian Basin?
Yeah, so in the redistricting process, as I understand it, our district needed to add about 70,000 population. District 28 needed about 100,000 population. And that's how they added counties to the south to be able to collect that population. I am from Midland, Texas, but have interest in the Panhandle, a lot of family up in the Panhandle. I also know that from our travel across the district that our citizenry is very like-minded. They're people of faith. They believe in giving back to their community. They're hardworking. And I would say from a business perspective, farming and ranching are their businesses, just like the oil and gas business is. I've spent 35 years helping run a successful small business, and I believe I can do that across the whole state. I intend to spend plenty of time as my full-time job as a state senator, making sure that all interests across the state are represented.
Thank you. Stormy Bradley, when the district was redrawn by the Texas legislature, several Panhandle counties were removed, while about a dozen were added from the Permian Basin area. How will you assure Panhandle residents that you'll represent their interests if elected? And do you see any potential for Panhandle interests to sometimes conflict with those of the Permian Basin?
I think as long as our elected officials have a broad scope of the industries that this district has, I think we we can represent them well. I have an agriculture, aviation, and medical background, so I know that I can relate to the opportunities and struggles that these industries have. And I look forward to representing this district well, including the Panhandle.
Okay, and finally, we will go to Mr. Reed. And the question again, how will you assure Panhandle residents their interests are represented if you are elected? And do you see a potential for Panhandle interests to sometimes conflict with those of the Permian Basin?
Once the line were drawn and the district was formed, we became one. And the Permian Basin is more gas and oil. The Panhandle is more agriculture. But we have the same concerns and the same interests. We all want to make sure that we have a good economy, that we all have good jobs, that our health is taken care of, and that we have sustainable water and energy. Those are needs and wants throughout the district, and that's what I'll be representing. And so there is no conflict as far as I'm concerned.
Turning now to the race for the 47th District Court Judge Republican primary, we have Dee Johnson, Jomar Wilson, and Alex Yarbrough joining us. We will start with Dee Johnson. First question is, what has been the nature of your law practice over your career, and how long have you been in practice?
Well, Jill, I have practiced for 31 years across the Texas Panhandle, representing individuals and small businesses who are sued. I have tried many cases with a better than 90% success rate and no reversal at trial. I have also handled federal felony criminal appointments, and I handle state criminal appointments. I have experience with appellate law. I was a briefing attorney at the Second Court of Appeals. I spent 3 summers clerking at a firm that did criminal defense work, and I interned at the U.S. Attorney's Office in college.
Jomar Wilson, same question. What has been the nature of your law practice over your career, and how long have you been in practice?
I've been in practice 33 years. I started out in practicing civil law and personal injury law. After several years, I segued over into family and criminal law, which is what I've practiced primarily for probably the last 28 or 29 years. I'm board certified in family and criminal law by the Texas Board of Legal Specialization, have been so since 1995. I'm one of only 14 lawyers in the state that has both of those certifications. I've tried well over 250 jury trials to verdict. I've handled thousands of non-jury trials in family, criminal, and civil law, and have represented over 6,500 individuals in those types of cases.
Thank you. Alex Yarbrough, what has been the nature of your law practice over your career, and how long have you been in practice?
Sure. So I've been in practice a little over 10 years. I've worked in the DA's office. I did family law for a few years, but for the vast majority of the last 10 years, I have primarily done defense work, civil defense work. So I do businesses, mom and pops, individuals, but my main practice area is defending governmental entities. So think jails, sheriff's departments, law enforcement, police officers. If there's a government associated with it, I'll probably defend it.
Thank you. Jomar Wilson, what sort of cases would you be hearing as a judge in this court? And what is your experience with that sort of case?
47th District Court is what's called a court of general jurisdiction, which means that it basically can hear most any type of case. But as a practical matter, the bulk of the caseload of the 47th District Court is family and criminal law, felony criminal law. And that would be what you would spend the majority of your time taking care of if you were judge of that court. Those are the exact type of cases that I've been handling for the last 30 plus years, and with the same prosecutors, the same other attorneys who represent people in family law cases, and the same other attorneys that represent criminal defendants in criminal cases.
Thank you. Alex Yarborough. What sort of cases would you be hearing as a judge in this court? And what is your experience with those types of cases?
So the 47th District Court is just a court of general jurisdiction. It's going to hear family law cases, criminal cases, and civil cases. Most of the cases that I've handled on the civil side have either been in district court in Potter Randall County or in federal court in Amarillo. I've been handling these types of cases for over a decade, and I have experience handling them and ready to hit the ground running.
And finally, Dee Johnson, what sort of cases would you be hearing as a judge in this court? And what is your experience with those types of cases?
Well, the court, as has been said a couple times, handles criminal, family, and civil matters. I have extensive experience in civil trial work. I've tried many cases over the years. And I'm, in fact, a member of an invitation-only organization for trial attorneys called ABOTUS. So very comfortable with the civil trial work. I've also handled federal felony criminal appointments through the federal court system. And I've been taking state appointments here in Potter County. So I am familiar, and I've handled all types of cases in all of the areas. So I'm very comfortable applying the law to the facts in all of these cases.
Final question, beginning with Mr. Yarborough. What are some of the issues in the justice system that need to be addressed in the counties that this court serves?
I believe one of the issues is, of course, the backlog of cases. We live in a post-COVID world now where, it's a cliche, but justice delayed is justice denied. And whoever is the ultimate winner of this race needs to get in there and handle the backlog of cases as fast as they can. I think I'm the right person to get in there and do that. I would like to see this court meet some of the metrics that the Office of Court Administration puts out in getting cases in and getting cases heard as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Turning now to Dee Johnson. What are some of the issues in the justice system that need to be addressed in the counties this court serves?
Well, about 10% of all cases that are filed, criminal or civil, go to trial. So that means the other 90% need to be managed. The cases that are backlogged right now need to be pushed on through the system so that justice is swift and at a lower taxpayer cost, so those people are not spending so much time in jail. We need to address the mental health issues. We have a mental health court and a veterans court, which needs to be utilized to divert people who need treatment and not incarceration out of the system as well. That will also save taxpayers some money. You need somebody who can handle a volume of cases. I handle a volume of cases on a regular basis. I manage it well. I'm handling over 200 cases right now and running for judge. So I can apply those skills to manage these cases and get them on through the system and get the result.
And finally, Jomar Wilson, could you share some of the issues you believe are pertinent to the justice system that need to be addressed in the counties that this court serves?
I think the ability for litigants to get their case resolved in front of a judge or a jury, whichever the case might be, in a timely manner is very important. As has been said already, mental health is probably the utmost stressor on the system that slows down the criminal justice system. But there are other things too. There is a huge docket of domestic violence cases that, because of their nature, are very difficult to resolve in a manner other than trial. And we need to come up with some processes, some ideas to figure out ways to encourage those cases to resolve without the necessity of a trial and without the necessity of putting those already broken families through more grief.
We turn now to the race for 181st District Court Judge in the Republican primary and are joined by Judge Tatiana Frosta and Quentin Todd Hatter. We'll begin with Judge Frosto. The first question is, what has been the nature of your law practice over your career, and how long have you been in practice?
I have been in practice since 2009. Since being licensed to practice law, I immediately started practicing in family law and criminal law. I also did some Social Security law. However, I have primarily focused on family law and criminal law the entirety of my career, which are the largest caseload of this court. I have tried jury trials in both of those practice areas. During my time at the Underwood Law Firm, I began doing some general civil litigation, working on very large civil cases, which is the third area of law heard by this court. So I've spent the entirety of my career working on family and criminal, and then the latter part of my career doing general civil litigation, which has prepared me for the caseload of this court and afforded me the ability to immediately go to work on this bench after being appointed in September of 2020.
Thank you. Same question for Mr. Hatter. What has been the nature of your law practice over your career, and how long have you been in practice?
Well, my law practice actually began as a police officer with the city of Amarillo. I served as a Texas peace officer for more than 6 years. I obtained an intermediate peace officer certificate licensing with the state of Texas. I later went to law school, was licensed in the state of Oklahoma first, thrown in the deep end of the pool with a felony defense practice or a group of cases of nearly 100 felony cases with individuals facing potential life sentences. Practiced in both Oklahoma and Texas. I've tried more than 400 cases in front of more than 50 judges. The bulk of my practice has been criminal law and family law, but I also handle civil litigation. So I've tried contract cases, CPS, juvenile cases. I am licensed, as I said, in both states. Have been licensed since 2007 was when I was first licensed as an attorney, and I'm admitted to all the U.S. district courts in Texas and Oklahoma.
We will remain with Mr. Hatter for the next question. What sort of cases will you be hearing as a judge in this court, and what is your experience with those types of cases?
I expect that the majority of cases are going to be criminal and family law, and probably the majority of that split being criminal cases. My experience is I have trial experience. First chair, which means the lead attorney or the only attorney in murder trials, rape, aggravated sexual assault of a child, aggravated robbery, manufacture, delivery of controlled substance with deadly weapon. So all types of drug cases, DWIs, juvenile cases involving criminal law. Now, this court doesn't hear juvenile cases, but I have extensive experience with criminal cases and family law, dealing with divorce, separation, child custody, and property division types of disputes. That is the bulk of what this court handles, though it is a court of general jurisdiction.
Turning now to Judge Frosto. What sort of cases would you be hearing as a judge in this court, and what is your experience with that type of case?
181st is a court of general jurisdiction hearing family law cases, criminal cases, as well as general civil cases. The bulk of the caseload is family law and criminal law. Criminal law in both counties, Potter and Randall, makes up the bulk of the caseload. I have experience in criminal law in that I was a criminal defense lawyer for the entirety of my career. I have tried cases in criminal cases to a jury, to a final verdict. In family law, I have also represented numerous parties in family law cases, divorces, child custody, child support, adoption cases, the whole gambit. I am a frequent presenter at state CLEs on family law issues. I have tried family law jury trials. Since being on the bench, I have presided over several criminal jury trials in this court, as well as non-jury proceedings in both criminal, family, and civil cases. And I immediately went to work on those once taking the bench.
Thank you. Continuing with Tatiana Frosto, what are some of the issues in the justice system that need to be addressed in the counties this court serves?
One of the main issues right now is just efficiency, tackling the backlog that has been caused before the pandemic and the backlog that has been caused as a result of the pandemic. So getting cases to final hearing more speedily, and also clearing out the backlog that these dockets are seeing, and that's across Potter County and Randall County. The other thing that I feel is important in both counties is that the rule of law be applied equally and fairly to everyone that comes before the courts. I'm not saying that that's necessarily an issue, but it is very important to me and always on my mind that, one, the law is being upheld and that everyone that comes into the courtroom is treated fairly.
Thank you. And finally, the same question for Quentin Todd Hatter. What are some of the issues in the justice system that need to be addressed in the county that this court serves?
I believe a court is supposed to be fiscally responsible. I believe that the budget that's allocated to court should be observed. I believe that a lot of that deals with incarceration of individuals. It deals with recognizing early signs and symptoms of mental illness, mental impairment. So I believe that courts and their staff need to be able to be trained to recognize signs and symptoms of individuals suffering from mental illness or mental impairment. I believe the court needs to work closely with area professionals, health professionals, the jail staff at each of the respective jails. I think that efficiently handling these cases will go a long way towards problem solving on the backlog of cases to which Ms. Frosto speaks. I believe it's important that you have a judge that's available. It's not just an 8 to 5 judge. I vow, I promise, I will be available.
Now we go to the race for 320th District Court Judge in the Republican primary. We are joined by Stephen Denny and Judge Pamela Sermon. We will begin with Mr. Denny. The first question is, what has been the nature of your law practice during your career, and how long have you been in practice?
I've been in practice over 20. My law practice has ranged from capital felonies where the death penalty is as a prosecutor and as a defense attorney, Class C misdemeanor tickets in municipal court. My practice has taken me from all over the state, including I represented some in the Waco biker shooting. I've had multiple trials over those 20. And because of that experience, I was also able to go as a justice advisor to Afghanistan and work with Afghan judges, defense attorneys, and police in training them how to use their legal system and how to set up and make things work more efficiently. I've been on both sides of the fence in the legal community and believe all that experience would be relevant to being a judge as well.
Same question for Judge Sermon. What has been the nature of your law practice over your career, and how long have you been in practice?
I've been licensed in the state of Texas for 32 years. I'm licensed in the state and federal courts. I spent the first 8 years as a prosecutor in the county attorney's office. I did 3 years misdemeanor prosecution only. And then, 5+ years, I was the CPS attorney. In other words, I did all the custody cases for the child neglect cases that involve children and families in CPS. I did a year in private practice doing family and criminal cases only while I ran for court. I was a county court at law judge in Potter County for 20 years. I was elected to the 320th District Court. It started January 1st, 2019. I've been there 3 years and almost a month. I do felonies. I do 33% of the felonies, 35% of all the family law cases. I do 20% of the tax and 15% of the civil cases. So I do it's called a general jurisdiction. We do some of everything. We do bench trials and jury trials and hearings on motions.
We will go with Judge Sermon on this next question. Discuss what sort of cases you would be hearing as a judge in this court and your experience with those types of cases.
Kind of a repeat of the last question. The 320th district court, there are 5 district courts, and the 320th is one. We do all cases: family, criminal, civil, and probate. No, not probate, tax. The criminal cases, for every 100 felony cases filed, I get 33 of them. For every 100 family law cases, I get 35 of them. So that's the bulk of my cases. I do felonies, from everything from capital murder down to state jail felony offenses. My family cases are termination of parental rights, child custody, divorce, paternity actions. Civilly, I can do a case that involves all the way up to multi-million-dollar cases, which we do have some of those, of course, med mal cases. And tax cases are just what they sound like. It's when there's foreclosure for failure to pay your property taxes. And we do jury trials and bench trials on all those.
Exactly the same question for Mr. Denny. What sort of cases would you be hearing as a judge in this court, and what is your experience with that type of case?
Well, I've got a wide, varied range of, as I said before, my criminal experience is extensive, and so I'm not going to go over that again. But also, as a referring attorney and as a principal attorney, I've handled cases. Some of those, like we were talking about, up to the jurisdictional limits of the court, multi-million-dollar cases in both Amarillo and in Lubbock. I've also handled civil cases in the matter of tax representation, people that are accused of not paying their taxes. So obviously I haven't represented the government on that side of it, but I have represented the taxpayer before. A good bit of family law in my history. I'm not currently focusing on that, but I have represented many people on divorces, and I've also done CPS actions, including appeal of CPS determinations by other judges.
Next question, staying with you. What are some of the issues in the justice system that need to be addressed in the county this court serves?
Well, I think the biggest issue, every single defendant that you come in contact with is likely suffering from some sort of mental health issue. Just violation of the statute probably designates them as a person with a antisocial personality disorder. And so you have to treat every person, they have a disorder, because a lot of them haven't been identified as such. I think we're letting a lot slip through the cracks. And because of that, we've created a burden on the system, because those people are being just treated and released, if you want it, by the legal system. They're getting sentenced to something, they're being put on probation, and then they're being let back out without addressing their mental health capacity. We do have a new court here that's addressing that, but I think that is something to focus on and save the taxpayers a lot of money.
And now turning that final question to Judge Sermon, what are some of the issues in the justice system that need to be addressed in the counties this court serves?
Big issue, I think, is the lack of attorneys in Amarillo. Quite frankly, we have the courts and the availability to hear cases, but we don't have attorneys to either prosecute them or defend them. Amarillo has seen our attorney population, quite frankly, die out and age out, and we don't have young lawyers coming in. The county, Potter County and Armstrong County, have gone together, and they're creating a public defender's office and a managed attorney program in order to attract these attorneys into our courts, into Amarillo, to work on these cases. I think it is extremely important we get the bodies here to represent the people. I agree also with Mr. Denny. Mental health is a huge issue. It gets a rotation in and out of the jail system. We've established a mental health court in Potter County that has just got approved last month or this month. And so we hope that will help. We'll identify those individuals as they come into the jail and put them into the mental health court where they can seek treatment. We also have a specialty veterans court for the same purpose.
Turning to the race for Potter County Judge in the Republican primary, there are 2 candidates, Edward Heath and Nancy Tanner. Edward Heath is joining us right now, and so we have 3 questions for Mr. Heath that will be answered with 1-minute long answers. The first question is, what training experience and background qualify you for this position?
Well, thank you, Jill. I appreciate that and appreciate the opportunity here to speak. My background is, first off, is I've been in Potter County for 34 years, and 29 of those years have been in the same house. I earned my bachelor's degree in 1980, and I have an extensive background in information technology and cybersecurity. I managed a multinational Department of Energy program, and I've received awards from both Pantex and the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Energy for my work in computer security and saving taxpayer dollars. And the primary function of a county judge in Texas is to manage the county's business on behalf of the people. I've held a U.S. government security clearance since 2001. I retired early from Pantex because I refused to submit to unnecessary medical treatment. It was the COVID jab. So I think with that background, I can definitely handle the county administration.
Next question. Beside presiding over the county commissioner's court, county judges are responsible for hearing probate, mental health, and misdemeanor criminal cases as a trial judge. What are the most pressing issues in these areas as they relate to the Potter County judge's duties?
Well, I think the pressing issues have been the courts are overloaded, and we need to be efficient in being able to process the cases and get them through in a expedited fashion, and still providing justice to the people who are asking for it. I think that portion of the responsibilities of the county judge is smaller in overall scope than the administrative function, but just as important.
Finally, the county judge serves as the chief budget officer for the county. What needs do you believe will be critical to address in the next few upcoming budgets?
Well, that really opens up a lot of things. First and foremost, having a background with governmental budgets, they're based on the existence of previous year's funds. And it's this way even in the county budget, is that you spend as much as you can of the budget you have because it won't be available to you next year if you don't. So I want to go from a baseline budget mechanism to a zero-based budget. And that would require all the department heads to do a ground up justification of every dollar that they're asking for in their budget. Beyond that, I think some of the biggest things is the county is taking on, or has taken on in the last 8 years, a significant amount of debt. There are almost $80 million in debt. And the things that we're going to have to be focusing on is how, as a county, we're going to be able to pay for that without raising taxes.
Potter County Judge Republican primary candidate Nancy Tanner is now joining us. Judge Tanner, what training, experience, and background qualify you for this position?
I have 32 years experience total with the county. The first 5 years I worked for the county attorney's office, and then I went to work for the previous judge for 20 years, and then ran for judge after he had a stroke, and have been here I'm on my second term as county judge. So I have a lot of experience. I've seen what I consider a little bit of everything. But every day I am proven wrong with that, because something new happens almost every day that I haven't seen before. So I have plenty of experience, and I just might add too that I love the people of this county, and I feel like I am well qualified to do this job.
Beside presiding over the county commissioner's court, county judges are responsible for hearing probate, mental health, and misdemeanor criminal cases as a trial judge. What are the most pressing issues in these areas of the Potter County judge's duties?
In my opinion, it's the mental health. We have the biggest mental health hospital in Amarillo, and it's called the county jail, and they don't need to be there. So we are working, me and the city are working on a diversion plan to divert them out of our jail, to get them into a facility where we can treat them with the drugs and with the needed hospital work that they need to have done to them there, and not in the county jail. So that's what we're working on, and that is a priority for me.
Finally, the county judge serves as the chief budget officer for the county. What needs do you believe will be critical to address in the next few upcoming budgets?
Every need, according to every department head, is the most important to them. So, but to me, it is, we've already got all the buildings that I need to build. I want to pay down the debt, to starting now to pay down the debt that we have accrued for over the buildings that I have had built and since I've been here. And I think that we just need to rely on what the citizens are thinking and what they want. We are doing good as far as infrastructure. So there's not really anything pressing that I can think of other than just paying down the debt.
We now move to the Potter County Commissioner Precinct 4 race in the Democratic primary. We are joined by Warren Coble, Timothy Gassaway, and Melody Graves. We will begin with Mr. Coble. Can you tell us what training, experience, and background qualify you for this position?
I started working for IBM services at an early age. I've been able to work with church budgeting, Hilltop Senior Citizen budgeting. I was a deputy sheriff in the Potter County precinct. Also, I was a bailiff. I've had a lot of experience just with people, and that's what gives me the knowledge to know how to do this. And also, I've gone to several of the meetings for the last year and a half.
Thank you. Mr. Gassaway, what training, experience, and background qualify you for this position?
Yes, I'm actually a trained troubleshooter. And with that training, the major thing that we learned was listening. You have to listen to people in order to come up with solutions. With that training, along with my education, which I have an associate's degree and also have a bachelor's degree in business management. I've served on numerous boards, from small ones to large ones, some international in nature. I've just had a really, I would say a good career that I've learned a lot and I've done a lot. And all of that preparation prepared me to take on this job today.
Thank you. Ms. Graves, what training, experience, and background qualify you for this position?
In every position that I've held during my professional tenure, I have had the opportunity to create relationships with people. And I think the relationships are so important. Working at Amarillo College for 11 years, that's what we do. We have a culture of caring where we build relationship with students, we connect them to resources, and then we help them through to success. Also, my work in the community, currently serving on numerous boards and leadership of many of those boards, what we're able to do is to just work together, to bring these resources together and to give a voice to those who have been left voiceless. In addition to that, I do just a lot of community advocacy, meeting with the mayor and other city leadership to make sure and ensure that the voice of the residents of this community are heard.
Beginning the next question with Mr. Gassaway. Among other responsibilities, counties maintain roads and bridges in the unincorporated areas of the county, provide for a justice system and public safety, and hold elections for every level of office. Are there issues in these areas of Potter County government that you believe need particular attention?
Well, I'll answer that question this way. There are always the potential for problems in all different departments. I'm not at a position where I would say what those problems are. I do know that 3 of our departments actually consume about 75% of the total budget, leaving 25% for the remainder of the budget. And those certainly will be areas where I will focus on if elected.
Ms. Graves, Among the responsibilities that counties face are maintaining roads and bridges in unincorporated areas, providing for a justice system and public safety, and holding elections for every level of office. Are there issues in these areas of Potter County government that you think need particular attention?
I think we definitely need to address the justice system within our precinct. With the climate that is around our nation right now, it becomes important that we trust our justice system to serve us in ways that protect us. And I think the way that we do that is by having them together in conversations and letting everyone know what the end goal is going to be. Again, building those relationships that will make the changes that are needed happen, and that'll remove the hostility that we get from social media and other types of media.
And finally, Mr. Coble, we're talking about the many responsibilities of the county, maintaining roads and bridges, providing a justice system and public safety, and holding elections. Are there issues in these areas of Potter County government that you feel need particular attention?
Yes, ma'am. With that question, it's important to know that we have our first responders out there, and they have to be very well equipped to do the job that needs to be done. I lived out in the county, and I know how long it takes responders to get there, but when they get there, they need to have the equipment. I think that if we will look at everything that we do in the county, the city collectively, that people will be the main thing. If we'll serve people, then a lot of the problems that we have that are seem to have us divided will go away. It's crucial that we look at our budget and not have an open checkbook and things of this nature, so that we can best serve the people in the best way possible.
Turning now to Randall County Commissioner Precinct 1 in the Republican primary, we have two candidates, Rusty Carnes and Kelly Giles, and you will each take turns answering these questions. You have 1 minute to answer each question. So first, Mr. Carnes, what training, experience, and background qualify you for this position?
Okay, first of all, thank you for letting me on this afternoon. I appreciate that. I was born in Comanche, Texas, grew up on a farm and ranch, participated in 4-H and FFA when I was young, so I learned about leadership and responsibility at a young age. Later on, I worked for Anderson Merchandisers, previously was Western Merchandisers, based here in Amarillo, Texas, with the Harmon Group, Sam, John, Steve, Bob Snyder was the CFO, so a great crew to work with. We distributed music, books, and video to stores throughout the Southeast and the western part of the United States. And I have been county commissioner since March of 2021 when I was appointed. We've had many successes in commissioner school since that time. We have worked with the Kaseki Cheese Factory to get them going over at Washington, make that 335, and Georgia, and then Canada Sweet Processing at Washington at 335. So it's been very successful this past year in promoting new business into Randall County.
Mr. Giles, what training, experience, and background qualify you for this position?
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I've been a self-employed rancher my entire life, and still today I'm active, and we run an operation west of Canyon. I live in Precinct 1, just to the east of Canyon, in a development called Deer Ridge. So as far as I'm also an employer, and so I have employees out at the ranch, and have had employees for several years. So have all those experiences growing up on a ranch, cash flows, budgeting, etc. I was also involved in forming a beef company back in the late 90s. And we put together about 38 million in capital and borrowed about another 65 million to get a beef company up and off the ground. And so I've got a lot of investment experience and oversight experience in large numbers.
Mr. Giles, you'll start us off with this next question as well. Among other responsibilities, counties maintain roads and bridges in the unincorporated areas of the county, provide for a justice system and public safety, and hold elections for every level of office. Do you believe any of these areas of Randall County government need particular attention?
Well, obviously, there's a lot of talk right now on the sheriff's department. Labor is very thin. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. Labor is very thin. The pool is very thin. And there's all sorts of opportunities for people to move upward and onward. And so I know the sheriff's department, in my discussions with them, the sheriff's department is suffering from that as well, whether it be the jail, the youth center, or actual patrolmen out on the road. So that is of grave concern. It's a multifaceted issue. It's not something that can be fixed with one trick out of the bag. It takes planning and time to remedy all that. And there's some outside factors that are weighing heavy on that as well. So that is a major concern and needs great attention.
Same question for you, Mr. Carnes. Among other responsibilities, counties maintain roads and bridges, provide for a justice system and public safety, and hold elections. Do you believe any of those areas of Randall County government need particular attention?
You know, I'm glad you asked that question because I think they all deserve attention. I get a lot of phone calls about roads and bridges, especially roads that need paving or caliche or improvement in given time. And it's very important that we have good transportation throughout the county. So those are very important. I support our first responders, police department, fire departments to the utmost. These are so crucial to the success of the county, and having these good departments just makes it better for our entire population. So it's very important to support them. I know they're concerned right now about how much they're getting paid. That is something we have to look at this year, years going forward. We're going to give our budget as much as possible and give them all the revenues they can. It makes sense for them to get.
We are now turning to the race for Randall County Commissioner Precinct 2 in the Republican primary. There are 4 candidates. 3 are joining us today. The candidates are Eric Berry, Daniel Martinez, Ed Schroeder, and Terry Wright. So we are going to begin in alphabetical order with Daniel Martinez, who is joining us by audio. And Daniel, what training, experience, and background do you have that qualify you for this position?
Thank you very much for that question, and thank you to our listening audience, especially our host today, the League of Women Voters and Panhandle PBS. I hold a degree in business from Oklahoma Panhandle State in business and a minor in accounting. I have been in the financial service industry for over 40 years. I have clients throughout the Panhandle that I have been a problem solver for throughout my career. I'm a former city commissioner for the city of Amarillo in place 1 in 2003, 2005. I've also served on the Amarillo Parks Recreation Board for 6 years. I've been a past president of Llano Cemetery Board, worth the wait. I've also served at KACV as the chairman of PBS, big believer. Ports and Plains Board that I served when I was on City Commission. I'm a past president of the Amarillo Education Foundation, past board member of Boy Scouts, past president of Optimist Club, past president of Panhandle Pro Toastmasters Club. I serve as president of the Western Community Center Foundation Board, as well as having served on Amarillo Economic Development Board. I'm a 30-year member of St. Thomas Catholic Church and serve in our choir.
Thank you, Daniel. Now we will turn to Edwin Schroeder. Same question. What training, experience, and background do you have that qualifies you for this position?
Thank you, Jill. I have a degree from the University of Texas in mathematics, but I don't suppose very qualifying. Although since 1987, I have held the position of certified financial planner. And also in 1988-89, I was the president of the Panhandle chapter of International Association for Financial Planning. I've been involved in financial services for 50 plus years, solving problems there. And primarily, I'm a commodity broker, but I wasn't busy building a resume or anything like that. I have served in quite a few different positions with my churches and in a supervisory type lay position, not anything that's ever official. So I don't have a lot of the credentials that Daniel has. So I'll just let it go at that.
Thank you, sir. Now we turn to Terry Wright. Terry, what training, experience, and background qualify you for this position?
Thank you, Jill. I have over 38 years as a trust banker, been in the banking business, the trust banking business for that time. I served as a senior trust officer, senior vice president for a local trust company. And for the last 7 years, I've been working at Happy State Bank in business development and oil and gas management for the trust department. Graduate of West Texas State University with a degree in ag business and economics. I have worked with very high level staff and executives. I, during my time in the trust department, I've worked with budgets, finances, and individuals. I've managed farms and ranch properties, oil and gas properties, and worked with many of the people in the Texas Panhandle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will start with Edwin Schroeder on the next question. Mr. Schroeder, the next question is, among other responsibilities, counties maintain roads and bridges in the unincorporated areas of the county, provide for a justice system and public safety, and hold elections for every level of office. Do you believe any of these areas of Randall County government need particular attention?
The ones, of course, that require particular attention are those areas that I would say are in the first responder type area. You didn't mention either one of those, but the firemen and the policemen, the first responders, are so important to our safety. Yes, maintaining the roads in good condition so that we get to and from places safely, that's certainly important, and keeping them in tip-top shape. I think that Randall County has done an excellent job thus far on maintaining that infrastructure. I think it can be done better. I don't know the answers to that yet because I haven't confronted those things, but I'm saying that those would be the areas that I would be looking at specifically. I'm here primarily to listen to my constituents and to lead and to serve.
Very good. Mr. Wright, looking at the county's responsibilities, roads and bridges, justice system, public safety, elections, do you believe any of these areas of Randall County government need particular attention?
I think the condition of Randall County at the present is in pretty good shape. Certainly roads and bridges, as always, whenever you're talking about rural roads and the amount of activity we're having in Randall County right now, maintaining the momentum of Randall County is going to be high on my agenda. But in doing that, with the building that's going on, the trucks moving up and down the rural roads continue to cause issues that require always maintenance and upkeep. As far as elections are concerned, I think we have one of the finest election offices in Randall County and probably in the state of Texas, with the knowledge and the expertise that those people have. And I don't foresee any problems with any election in Randall County. There's been some questions about, I know in general in the elections, about safety and security. The elections in Randall County are not, the internet has nothing to do with them. They're all standalone.
Thank you, sir. And finally, Mr. Martinez, among the county's responsibilities, do you feel there are any particular areas of Randall County government that need attention?
Thank you for that question. And speaking to the residents, as I've been through the neighborhoods and attending various meetings throughout Randall County, we would like to see more economic development. There's vast land between here and the city of Canyon that we can attract and bring industry to our area that will lower our tax base for all the citizens. Many of our residents are very concerned that our tax rate that they are currently paying has greatly increased in just the last 10 years. Many of them have said it's doubled. I particularly want to work with our current leadership. I think we have excellent leaders in all facets of county government, especially in our sheriff's office and the chief's fire department, in which at this time, because of the drought that we're currently in, first responders would be at utmost at the ready, because we have not received any sizable moisture to speak of in the area. Last Thursday, I heard a presentation from our superintendent of schools where new high school West Plains High School will open in August. So our expansion and growth is ever so much growing, and relief for our traffic is very important.
Randall County Commissioner Precinct 2 Republican primary candidate Eric Berry now joins us. Mr. Berry, what training, experience, and background qualify you for this position?
Well, I'm currently the regional agency director for an insurance agency in town, Vincent and Associates, and it's an administrative position where I deal with the everyday occurrences of any business. We have a large budget. We insure tens to hundreds of millions of dollars worth of property. And I have also ran a very highly successful international career as an opera singer as well. I'd say that, my experience in collaborating with people is probably one of my strongest attributes, where as a commissioner, there are 4 of us who would maintain the county's administration, and making sure that we can all agree on positive goals and focus on a positive future change for our county is something that's vitally important, as well as listening to our constituents and hearing everybody's opinion and making sure that we can work towards a common goal.
Among other responsibilities, counties maintain roads and bridges in the unincorporated areas of the county, provide for a justice system and public safety, and hold elections for all levels of office. Do you believe any of those areas of Randall County government need particular attention?
Well, I'd say there are bits and pieces of every one of those that require constant attention. I know that the current commissioners have done a rather good job of maintaining all of the business of Randall County. There are some particular issues that need some extra focus, and I'm excited to talk with people about that in other forums, possibly here, possibly in other places, definitely door to door, having a lot of good conversations. But yeah, this is a cyclical thing. So we may have a lot of road/bridge projects one year and maybe not the next, but that doesn't mean that you can ignore them. So I think maintaining a watchful eye over the whole county is something that's important and something that we should be doing as commissioners.
We are moving on to Randall County Commissioner Precinct 4 in the Republican primary. There are 3 candidates, Tam Boatler, Michael D. Grady, and Melissa Jewett-Kulka. Melissa Kulka is not with us today. Each of you will have 1 minute to answer each of the questions. We will begin with Mr. Boatler. And the first question is simply, what training, experience, and background qualify you for this position?
My name is Tam Boatler, and I'm running for Randall County Commissioner number 4. And I was raised in Amarillo. I'm a longtime resident. I've been a Randall County resident for over 42 years. I've lived in the same house in Randall County for 40 years. I worked for the Amarillo Police Department for 42 years. And I promoted several times. When I retired, I was at the rank of captain. I ran 2 different divisions and did a lot of different management and supervision over that time. I also dealt with budgeting and planning and just about everything that a manager does. I've got pretty extensive management experience. I've got a degree from Wayland Baptist College in criminal justice, and I'm a strong conservative Republican, been involved as a precinct chairman for over 10 years.
Thank you. Same question for you, Mr. Grady. What training, experience, and background qualifies you for this position?
Well, my name is Michael D. Grady, and I'm a lifelong conservative. I've lived inside of the 4th Commissioner Precinct for over 26 years as a former pastor, as a project manager for a roofing company, as well as assistant manager at gym and everything in between. I've been in positions of leadership, and when it comes to this position, what you'd say is a self-taught. I'm a self-taught person in this one. I've spent the last year of my life dedicated to being at Commissioner's Court, studying the fiscal budget, discussing things with department heads, and figuring out what we need and what we're able to do. And as a conservative, constitutional conservative, I know that there are certain things that we have to do to continue the growth that we have in Randall County, and to do it well and to manage our resources well while retaining excellent employees.
And Mr. Grady, you will start us off with this next question. Among other responsibilities, counties maintain roads and bridges in the unincorporated areas of the county, provide for a justice system and public safety, and hold elections for every level of office. Do you believe any of these areas of Randall County government need particular attention?
Well, I'd say that the main thing that needs attention is the safety of our residents. That would be the sheriff's office and the fire department. Both of those are needing desperate attention. The county is actually paying for it's almost $60,000 for a compensation survey. However, I have a plan that I've discussed with department heads as well as a CPA that will bring our first responder salaries into a competitive range that brings us in line with the city of Amarillo, brings us in line with Potter County, with Hereford Police Department, Canyon Police Department, and Dumas Police Department, in a way that we don't lose those good employees. The 4th Commissioner Precinct is all inside of Amarillo when it comes to roads. There's one on the border of it that is just set up right up against it, but the majority of what we need is to take care of our employees, because we have excellent employees and we don't want to train people and send them off to other departments and other counties.
Turning to Mr. Boatler, same question. Among other responsibilities, counties maintain roads and bridges in unincorporated areas, provide for a justice system and public safety, and hold elections. Do you believe any of these areas of Randall County government need particular attention?
I do, and I agree with Mr. Grady. It would certainly be, public safety would be the number one thing on my mind. And, that's how I was employed and made a living for over 42 years. And right now, law enforcement is kind of going through a phase of sometimes negative press. And when I left, I was over recruitment. We were having a lot of trouble recruiting good employees. We used to give tests and we'd have 500 people show up. Now we're down to 150 to 200. So it's hard to get people to become police officers now. And I think with the same thing with the sheriff's department, we've got to maintain a good quality sheriff's department and keep that safety up. And we've got to take care certainly of the law enforcement employees, but along with the other employees. I would agree that is a big thing. and certainly something that needs to be focused on.
We are now joined by Randall County Commissioner Precinct 4 Republican primary candidate Melissa Jewett-Kulka. Ms. Kulka, what training experience and background qualify you for this position?
Well, I have a varied background. I have worked and run my family's small business, so I know the problems with small business owners with making payroll and keeping taxes low. I've worked for the WT Enterprise Center with knowing how to attract large and small businesses. I have also worked for Congressman Mac Thornberry with constituent services, made a lot of good contacts there and listened to constituents. And I worked for an oil company for 18 years and as a senior buyer where I had to manage budgets and do purchasing in the millions of dollars. So I feel like I would be good at working on the Randall County annual budget. And so I feel like my background gives me a lot of variety in different areas that would make me a good candidate and a good commissioner for Randall County.
Among other responsibilities, counties maintain roads and bridges in the unincorporated areas, provide for a justice system and public safety, and hold elections for every level of office. Do you believe any of these areas of Randall County government need particular attention?
Well, one thing about this precinct, it's sort of landlocked. So in this precinct, we don't have any county roads or fire departments or anything, but I feel like those people, the sheriff's department and firemen, we need to continually keep them where they have equipment they need and keep our roads in good condition. So even though it might not be in my precinct, I think that that's a definite thing for the county. And we need to be able to handle some of the exponential growth in Randall County with keeping, you know, our roads in good shape and keeping all of our facilities in good condition and doing whatever we can to meet the needs of the citizens in the county.
Next, we have the Randall County Justice of the Peace Precinct 4 Republican primary candidates. Joining us are Kyle Balke, Joanne Garcia Flores, and Michael B. Grady. I will ask each of you 3 questions. You have 1 minute each to answer, and then we will alternate who begins. So we will start with Mr. Balke. And the question is, what training, experience, and background qualify you for this position?
All right, thank you very much. I am an elected judge. Basically, what happened with that is we had a commissioner's court. Each of the commissioner's court decided that they did want to elect me as a judge, and they did so. Then they sent me to school, and I have over 130 hours in the school over 3 years. I have been doing this job for 3 years now. I have done 194 inquests. I have done 130 hours of Texas justice training. I can't tell you how many hearings I've had. I don't keep track of that. Let's see, I have a bachelor's degree. I have a master's degree, and I have a love for people.
Thank you. Ms. Flores, same question for you. What training, experience, and background qualify you for this position?
I have 30 years of civil and criminal law combined experience. I have worked in the JP court as their criminal clerk, their chief court administrator, and the interim judge. I was appointed by Judge Howdeshell. I have also been working in the legal profession for a total of 30 years. For the past 15 years, I have managed and operated a local law firm, a successful law firm. I have also had some training in the justice court training, not only in the judge position, but in the chief court administrator and the criminal court. I have training in all 3 areas. That is the training that I have. On top of, I also have I did inquest. I did hearings when I was the interim judge in both criminal and civil, including truancies, small claims, magistrations, the Class C misdemeanors, anything that was in the JP court as interim judge, I did that. And I also, again, the 30 years that I have in my legal profession qualifies me for this open elected seat.
Moving to Mr. Grady. Tell us about the training, experience, and background you have that qualifies you for this position.
I've been at Randall County Sheriff's Department for 19 years. I'm a deputy, I'm a sergeant at the Sheriff's Office. I have approximately 2,200 training hours with the Sheriff's Office in different aspects of the law. I've worked at the Justice Center. I'm a court security specialist. I'm a TICO trainer, a TICO instructor. I just work, and that's what I do for the Sheriff's Office. We just work and we train and we learn everything we can about the law. We keep updated on all the legislation that comes out. We know the law and we take care of the law, and that's how we're trained, and that's what we do, and that's what I do.
Thank you. The next question will begin with Ms. Flores. What kind of cases does this court handle, and what is your experience dealing with these types of issues?
This case handles small claims, cases and civil cases, and Class C misdemeanors. That is what the court handles on top of inquest. My experience in doing that, of course, is, was when I was with the court as chief court administrator, interim justice of the peace, and then again criminal in Potter County. So the experience that I have is not only more than 3 years, it is an extensive history of working in that court. And then, on top of that, before that training, before them positions, I was working in the legal profession. I've worked in the legal profession since I was 20 years old, and I'm 53 now. This is all I've ever done is law. So I have the experience and what it takes to go into this open elected position and do what I have done my entire career, and what I do, I do it very well. Yes, sir, ma'am.
Mr. Grady, tell us about what kind of cases this court handles and your experience dealing with these types of issues.
Well, this court, it handles truancies. They also handle small claims, $20,000 and under. They also handle evictions. They handle. They also do a lot of inquests. And me personally, I hadn't handled any of these cases, but I have worked in Judge Anderson's court, in several courts as a bailiff down in Canyon, and I've seen how the courts work, and I see how they handle cases, and I believe that I would be able to serve and do that.
What kind of cases does the court handle, and what is your experience in handling these types of cases and issues?
Well, I am a current sitting judge. I've seen all of these cases. They've been correct in all that they've said: small claims, truancies, evictions. My passion happens to be the truancies. I spent 29 years of my life in education, 29 years of my life not just doing administration, but doing coaching and other things. But during the time I was an administrator, I went to court. I went and saw Judge Bosch's court. I was there when strange things would happen. I went to court with Judge Howdyshill. I've been to court. I know exactly what's going on. My goal is to help these kids know that they matter, and we've got to find a way to get that done.
Thank you, Mr. Balke. Now we'll go back to Mr. Grady. The question is, do you have any plans for changes to the operation of this court?
The changes I'm going to make are just, I'm going to be in the office every day. I'm going to be in the office and I'm going to answer the phone at night. And you have to do that. You have to be available to any first responder or any court staff that needs you at any point in time. So that's the change I'm going to make. You just have to be there. You can't do anything if you're not there, and I will be there.
Mr. Balke,
Thank you.
what are your plans for changes to the operations of this court?
Well, we just spent a horrible part of my last 3 years with COVID. And that was a very trying time for all of us. We did find out that Zoom hearings do work in a lot of cases. Small claims, not so much. The bad debt claims works marvelously with them because they're usually from out of town. Evictions are an interesting case on Zoom, but we do find that it can be done on Zoom. Truancies is not something that needs to be done on Zoom. We need to do that in person. So with all those changes, the Zoom, the technical part, we've got to step up to the new part of the world.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Flores, do you have any plans for changes to the operations of this court?
I would like to say that I will also be at the office every day. As far as changes, I do not know the condition of the court. I do not know where it's at. But what I do know is when I was working in the JP office and we had a revenue of about $269,000, when I got there, that revenue went up to almost $490,000. And so one thing that I want to do is I want to go in and I want to see what is collectible and I want to raise revenue. I want to help the sheriff's office and the other departments that need help that, and I don't know exactly what is going on, but I just know that I went to a sheriff's department meeting. They need some help. They're losing people. I want to do whatever I can to help. I want to just do my job and use the experience, the 30 years that I have. I want to use that experience to go in there and just run a wonderful court for you, the taxpayers, our children, grandchildren. I have a passion for it and I am ready to do it today.
Thank you for joining us for this virtual League of Women Voters Forum. I will now turn the program over for closing remarks.
Thank you for viewing this Candidates Forum sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Amarillo and Panhandle PBS. And thank you to our candidates, those who recorded with us live over 2 days in January and those who recorded or uploaded their videos at a later time. This took time out of your busy campaign day. For that, we are grateful. We've had a lot of challenges in the last couple of years, making it hard to meet in person and mingle with people. But with the aid of Panhandle PBS, we've been able to continue our tradition of bringing the candidates to you. So our heartfelt thanks to all the staff at KACV TV, including Kyle Arendt, Karen Welch, Hillary Hulsey, Brian Frank, and our moderator, Jill Gibson. We work tirelessly in the League to make sure you're an informed and active participant in your government. And we produce our voters guide so that you can also read about the candidates that way. We have lots of ways to help support the League. And if you want to reach out to us and offer support or join as a member, there's information now on your screen that will show you how you can reach us at the League of Women Voters. We hope that you will consider joining or supporting the League in whatever way is best for you. In closing, again, thank you for watching, and please remember, go vote.